Well, we got Ayssa with us here from Varsity Vibe, and good to have you here today. Congrats. First of all, I was thinking of you. I didn't get to watch it because I was in the middle of the Arkansas-Alabama A&M game, but for a Florida State graduate, after the season you guys had last year, man, what did that feel like? And you're still in a glow from it, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome, huh? I remember because I was at the game too, the Arkansas game. So it was Finn's birthday, so I had him, and he had gone down onto the field with his dad to do some pregame stuff. So I was out tailgating with some friends and watched the very beginning of the Alabama-Florida State game. And when I say beginning, I just mean Alabama's first drive. And the whole entire time I'm watching it, so many people in the tailgate were like, oh, my God, Alabama's just going to run all over them. Like, Alabama, this is going to be a blowout. And I think the spread was 13.5. And I just sat there, and I was just like, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I'm nervous, but that first series for Alabama looked pretty convincing. But then I had to go into the stadium, and then the next thing I know, I check my phone. It's like, oh, the game's tied. Then I check it again. I'm like, oh, they're up 14-7. Oh, it's 17-7 at half. And it just was like, oh, this is actually going to happen. And occasionally throughout the game, I would pull it up on my phone just to watch a little bit of it. And then once the Arkansas game kind of got a little out of hand, Finn and I sat in the stands and watched it on my phone just end. And, yeah, you know, I didn't know what to expect. I don't think anybody did. We had talked to Gus Malzahn over the summer, Brandon Marcello and I, and he felt really good about the offense, being able to just call plays, not have to focus on anything, almost kind of falling back in love with the sport again, being able to do what he loves and be creative as a play caller. And I think you saw that on Saturday. And, man, it was doubly sweet when you beat Alabama, and then, of course, for Gus to beat Alabama. And now, you know, I'm not trying to get too high or too low, but all the positive things people are saying about Florida State, I don't hate. So it was a good Saturday for me.
Yeah, I try not to overreact too much on week one, Ayssa, and I watched some of that game. I thought that was pretty cool as well. I will ask you one more thing about it. Do you think, like, and Phil and I were talking about this earlier today, I don't think Saban gets back into college football coaching, but if Alabama doesn't kind of turn it around a little, let's say they only win 8 games, I think Nick Saban could coach Alabama again. I think that's the only team Nick Saban coaches. If he coaches again, it would be Alabama.
Mm-hmm. I think so. And a lot of people have said that, too, that, like, if Kalen DeBoer can't get this thing going, Nick Saban's going to return and try to right the ship again. You know, the one thing I did think was interesting when I went back and watched just a little bit more and what I did see from Alabama, I just didn't feel like there was a swagger or a toughness there that you're used to seeing with Alabama. And I think if you're an Alabama fan, that's concerning because that's really an identity of just an Alabama football program, not just a team year to year. And I'm interested to see if they're able to fix that and turn that around. But at the end of the day, my feelings weren't hurt, so I'm fine.
It was effort in some cases, too. And again, I'm going off of highlights, but there were 4 instances of you could see an Alabama defender jogging, figuring he's beat, and there's no reason to give any effort at that point. And I just, you know, championship programs usually don't see that very often, and I would think that's first thing to fix.
Yeah, you would think so. You would go back to the film, and I'm pretty sure that Alabama football team has heard plenty already from their coaches in film sessions about what to do and what not to do in terms of just effort and body language, right?
Yeah. Would you have rushed the field? Pinto asked. If you put yourself in
that
stadium, would you?
Sure. Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. If I was there, absolutely. As a fan, oh, yeah. You know, so hi, Pinto. But so I did it twice for basketball season when I was a student there when they beat Duke. And I remember the first time I was a sophomore or a freshman, and we rushed the court too early, and they had to push us back, and then we did it again. It's fun.
Hey, Ayssa,
so yeah, I'd be right down there.
This Arkansas-Alabama A&M game, I thought Taylon Green was the best player on the field. What other position group did you come away with? Was it the receivers? Was it the D-backs? What other position group did you come away feeling pretty good about after you watched game one?
I felt really good about the run game, honestly. Watching Mike Washington and Braylon Russell, I thought that they were very impressive. But the wide receivers, and when people have asked me, Matt, like how I felt about the game, I think Taylon's just got a lot more weapons around him. Not that the guys last year weren't as good, but I think he's just more comfortable with the guys that he does have around him. And so you look at Omega Blake, C.J. Brown, those guys are just, they're a little bit different, and they got more separation, and it felt like Taylon felt more comfortable throwing to multiple guys on the field as opposed to maybe just, Andrew Armstrong every time. And that was really good to see, to be able to spread the ball around as much as they did from a passing standpoint, because they're going to need that throughout the whole entire season, because guys are going to have off games, right? And you can't have your one target having an off game, and now you've got no other weapons around you offensively that you feel comfortable throwing to. So that was really good to see that it's been pretty evident that was an emphasis all fall camp and in the summer to get that chemistry going with Taylon and those new guys around him in the wide receiver room.
Sometimes a little difficult to know what it is you can believe, when you're watching two such disparate levels of football. But here is one thing, and Sam touched on it after the game. This is why I think Arkansas is going to be pretty good in special teams this year.
You can have the greatest guys on there that can cover a kick. You can have the greatest protection on field goal. You can have the greatest protection on punt. But if you don't have a punter, a kicker, and a returner, you don't have great special teams. You just don't. Scott is really good about evaluating kickers and punters. He just is. He's got two of them starting in the NFL right now from here. Scott Starsick did a wonderful job as a true freshman out there. Devin Bell is really good at punting. We've got can cover, and Scott went out and got Shanks.
Now, I will say this. I hope Shanks doesn't put himself in that position where he doesn't call for the fair catch and gets drilled right as he catches it.
That was bad.
But there was one good return. I think his speed will play, and Devin's a really good punter, but Starsick looks like he's the real deal as far as what we saw a couple years ago.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that that's where you want to be comfortable, right, with special teams. The last thing you want to do is run your special teams out there worried about anything, and for them to have faith. Obviously, Devin Bale has just been just steady for this Arkansas team over the last couple of years, and then you add someone who can be electric like Cam Shanks, and then with their kicker, it makes you feel a little bit better when it's just like, okay, we got this, instead of, oh my gosh, we just don't know what's going to happen. And I know that Arkansas fans have kind of had that, we were really spoiled with Cam Little, but now, before Cam Little, it was like, oh gosh, like what, we don't really know what's going on with even last year, what is going on with the kicking team? What's going to happen? Like, are they going to miss it? Are they going to? There's just, you don't really want to have that kind of uncertainty with your special teams, and so maybe like the offensive and defensive line, they're the unsung heroes of this team because you don't talk about them if they're performing well. So, got to give them their love when they deserve it.
Any team you want to highlight from your first weekend hosting Varsity Vibe from the high school football world?
Yeah,
who stood out for you?
Well, I think. Sure, and I think it was a really fun opening week 0 around the high school scene on Friday night, and I was on my couch watching and bouncing around as much as I could. Fayetteville dominant in their win over Cabot. Bentonville able to go over and get the win at Tulsa Union. But, I was really impressed with Bentonville West. And even though they lost that game to Greenwood, I think you could argue that they probably could have won that game, maybe should have won that game against a really good Greenwood team that, maybe defensively this year might not be as strong as they've been in the past. And I think Bentonville West took advantage of that. Their quarterback, Trey Thompson, played really well. And they had an opportunity down at the end of that game to win it in the end zone. And unfortunately, one touchdown was called back for a flag, and the other one he was just out of bounds. But I was really impressed with Bentonville West, and I'm very curious to see how this 7A West is going to look this year, because you've got a lot of really good teams that are going to be fighting for those couple top 5 spots in that league, and it'll be really, really fun. So I think if I had to give a shout-out to a team, even though they lost, I think Bentonville West was one to keep an eye on. And, like Southside beating Northside 27-7, and the Battle of Rogers Avenue was pretty cool, too. So it was a fun opening week 0.
Here's some interesting facts on this Arkansas State game. Sam hit on this. We make so much about Arkansas, the Razorbacks, not having enough high school stars from the state. I count 28 members of the roster that are from the state of Arkansas. The Red Wolves have 12 Arkansans on the Arkansas State roster. I'm not sure what you make of that, because if the theory would be here, should Arkansas be getting more players from the state, the better players from the state, would that also work for Arkansas State? They seem to have a pretty good mid-major Sun Belt program.
Well, but I also think you could counter that with the good in-state players are playing at Arkansas. And so there's not, everyone doesn't get an equal piece of the pie kind of thing, to where, your best players are playing for the flagship school in Fayetteville. And I think that we all know that at that point, too, you're just going to recruit players who can play in your system and who can play at the level of competition that you're playing. And you're not just going to go get anyone out of the state of Arkansas just because they happen to be in your backyard. And I think that they know that. You've got to go recruit talent. And if the talent is already being taken in one direction in the state, well, you got to go somewhere else to get it. So that doesn't necessarily surprise me.
Yeah, I think it works both ways, truthfully, for both teams.
Yeah.
Alyssa, we'll leave it there, and looking forward to visiting again. Maybe Florida State ought to be 2-0. They probably should be 2-0 next week, okay?
Let's hope so. If they turn around and they lose to, I can't even remember who they're playing, Texas A&M Commerce or something.
Well, it used to be A&M Commerce. Now it's East Texas A&M. Remember, they made their debut as East Texas A&M against Arkansas women's hoops last year.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's who they're playing. And if that happens, don't call me next week.
You don't always win your first bet. That's why MyBookie has you covered. Use our code HOGS, HOGS, and your first bet up to $500 is fully covered. If your pick doesn't hit, you get it right back with our Bet Back bonus. Go to mybookie.ag and use the code HOGS to claim your Bet Back bonus. MyBookie's, where bettors win together, because bragging's good, but cashing in is better. And your first bet is fully covered. Use our code HOGS.
Got a little jingle